our distinguished panel of human rights advocates, experts, and survivors who have submitted their testimonies to the fact-finding mission. We welcome you, our UN mission representatives, journalists, special guests, and collaborators, Malika International and International Solidarity for Peace. My name is Nazanin AFSHIN-JAM. I'm a human rights advocate and founding member of Iranian Diaspora Mission and Iranian Justice Collective. 14 years ago, I spoke in the same UN Human Rights Council asking for a special session on Iran to investigate its human rights abuses. Today, we come full circle. I feel a sense of relief that the cries of people in Iran have not only been heard, but have been documented by the world's foremost human rights body, the United Nations Human Rights Council. And we are here today to emphasize that documentation and list concrete follow-up actions. As you are aware today, the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Iran and the UN Fact-Finding Mission of Iran have presented their reports to the Council. Both reports reflect aspects of the reality and human rights violations in Iran. The Special Rapporteur expressed his regrets that the Islamic Republic has maintained a system of gender apartheid. The FFM report explicitly concluded that the gross violations of human rights investigated during the peaceful Woman Life Freedom revolutionary movement committed by the Islamic Republic amounted to crimes against humanity. The success of this designation can be attributed to the witnesses who testified to this report. We have several survivors of this brutalization here with us today on the panel and several in the audience to corroborate the findings of the report. Would the survivors of this brutality please stand up for a minute? Please stand up. Any other survivors of this regime in this room, please stand up. Our aim today is to put a human face to these statistics. These are real lives that have been severely impacted by intentional blinding, shooting, imprisonment, rape, and torture by the Islamic Republic. There are so many more stories to hear from the thousands of political prisoners that remain unjustly behind bars in Iran. So many more stories from those that frankly have lost faith in the United Nations system and chose not to testify because they believed their stories would fall on deaf ears or compromise their security. I would like some of that faith restored in the United Nations, and therefore ask you in this room to do your part to make sure that this report is not just shelved, collecting dust in the archives. While these reports may not bring back the slain or restore the lost members of their bodies, they can pave the way for the prosecution of perpetrators and instigators of violence and atrocities by agents of the Islamic Republic. It is also hoped that they will prevent further crimes from occurring. Now, taking my hat off as chair for a minute, and now wearing my hat as a member of the Iranian Diaspora Mission to the UN, we ask you to consider these points of action in moving forward. Number one, we are urging you to support Iceland's proposal for an extension of the mandate of the FFMI for an additional year, as well as extending the mandate of the Special Rapporteur on Iran. Number two, we ask the Human Rights Council to pass a resolution condemning the gross human rights violations and submitting the findings of the report to the UN Security Council for discussion and further action. Number three, we then request the Security Council to refer the case to the International Criminal Court to prosecute individuals and entities guilty of these crimes against humanity, whereby past precedents exist. We also request UN mission representatives to share the findings of the report with their national jurisdictions or regional human rights bodies to support prosecutions. Now we would like to hear from some of the guests of Zagros Center for Human Rights, concentrating on the disproportionate targeting of minorities in Iran by the Islamic Republic, and then continue on to hear from the witness testimonials by Iranian Diaspora mission to the UN and Zagros.